Today's talk is titled The Rainbow Fish Keep Their Scales by Reverend Robin Zucker, to be read by Tom Harris. Tom is a retired registered nurse who relocated to Cambria when he retired in 2017. Previously, he lived his entire life in Los Angeles County, primarily in the Crescenta Valley suburbs of LA. His nursing career spanned 45 years. He began attending UUCC in late 2016 after purchasing his home here, but before making a permanent move. Tom.
Good morning. Pleased to be here this morning. This sermon was delivered by Reverend Robin Landerman Zucker on Pride Sunday, June 13th, 2021, at Beacon UU in Flagstaff, Arizona. This was the final all-Zoom service after 15 months when COVID first hit in the spring of 2020. Very similar to what we went through here. At the time of this service, Reverend Zucker was serving an extended 4-year interim ministry during the pandemic at Beacon UU. She is currently serving as minister at East Rose Fellowship UU in Gresham, Oregon, a suburb of Portland. Here is her message. When my children were growing up, we were always surrounded by piles of books we purchased from or borrowed from the local library, and some were clear favorites, and many were classics or well-known stories such as The Giving Tree, Love You Forever, and The Rainbow Fish. The morals and messages in these favorites seemed so perfectly aligned with our household values, melding my close-knit Jewish upbringing and UU progressive principles. My children especially loved The Rainbow Fish with its glistening 3D pages, and my daughter even received a stuffed rainbow fish lovey as a gift one birthday from a friend. But children grow up, and so do their parents. We grow in self-interrogation and awareness of how stories that appear positive and uplifting can impart previously unrecognized, unhealthy messages too. This is where the writer Topher Payne comes in. He has recast all of the affirmation stories for a higher and broader consciousness. He took out the cringy parts and made the stories more woke without being precious about it. The Giving Tree is now the tree who set healthy boundaries. Love You Forever has morphed into Love You Forever and I'll call before I come over. And the story that frames our Pride service today, the story known as the Rainbow Fish, swims into our midst as the rainbow fish that keeps his scales. Recall in the second reading the original Rainbow Fish story, how after his visit with the wise octopus, the rainbow fish had a change of heart and began giving away all but one of his shimmering scales, creating a new sense of profound happiness. Okay, so you can see why parents and kids like this story. It's about sharing and humility and how to make friends. No problem here. Yet what Topher Payne so astutely points out is that the story also requires the rainbow fish to relinquish what makes him special and unique, and diminishes himself for the comfort of others in order to be accepted. Yes, it keeps the part about humility too. However, let's pick up the story at the point of Payne's rewrite when our shimmering swimmer encounters the wise octopus. The rainbow fish found the cave. It was very dark inside and he couldn't see anything. Then suddenly, 2 eyes caught him in the glare, and the octopus emerged from the darkness. "I have been waiting for you," said the octopus with a deep voice. "The waves have told me your story. This is my advice. Give a glittering scale to each of the other fish. You will no longer be the most beautiful fish in the sea, but you will discover how to be happy." "I can't," the rainbow fish started to say, but the octopus had already disappeared into a dark cloud of ink, which is the octopus version of hanging up on someone. And it's a very abrupt and rude way to end a conversation. Then the rainbow fish heard a voice from behind him. "Excuse me, little rainbow fish." The rainbow fish turned to see the fabulous catfish. The fabulous catfish was very popular. His dinner parties were legendary because his entire body was covered in taste buds. So he had a notably refined palate. He was also known for his charitable giving to nonprofit organizations. "What did that octopus just say to you?" the fabulous catfish inquired, seeming a bit exasperated. "The octopus told me to give away all my glittering scales so that I could make friends," said the rainbow fish. "Oh, give me strength," sighed the fabulous catfish. "First of all, we do not take advice from reclusive cephalopods who live alone in dark caves and only talk to the waves. I bet that starfish sent you here, didn't she?" "Yes," said the rainbow fish. "And did you notice that Starfish was all by herself? That girl has no friends because she is shady. Always has been. We were in school together. Rainbow fish, when someone tells you how to be, you've got to consider the source." "Now I've seen you around," the fabulous catfish continued. "I've noticed that you tend to swim solo these days. Why is that?" "The other fish don't want to play with me because they're jealous of my glittering scales," said the rainbow fish. "Oh, is that the reason?" said fabulous catfish, giving the fish equivalent of an arching eyebrow. "Or is it because you got a little full of yourself and forgot to appreciate others?" The rainbow fish considered this. He felt guilty. "You need to understand, rainbow fish. Every creature in the sea has something that makes them special, just as special as your scales. So when someone tells you your scales are beautiful, instead of getting a big head about it, say thank you and give a compliment in return. Tell the lobster how strong her claws are. Tell the shark he has excellent teeth. Sharks love it when you notice their teeth." "You have very impressive whiskers," said the rainbow fish, trying out an accolade. "Thank you, and you have soulful eyes." No one had ever complimented rainbow fish's eyes before. Compliments were fun. "Now," said the fabulous catfish, "I want you to look for what is exceptional in others. When you celebrate what makes each of us distinctive, you become a part of community." "Thank you, fabulous catfish," said the rainbow fish, excited to begin his new approach. "I'm sure glad I didn't listen to that rude octopus." "I'm glad too, rainbow fish. Go out there and glitter. And remember, it's important to consider the feelings of others, but you should never feel obligated to diminish yourself for someone's comfort. There's room enough in the sea for each of us to be amazing in our own way." The rainbow fish began his journey home, appreciating his wonderful neighbors as he traveled. "Hello, mackerel, you're the fastest swimmer I've ever seen." "Hi there, squid, I heard you had 3 hearts. That's so cool. May I ask you a few follow-up questions?" "What's up, prawn? You can change colors. That's awesome. Do you have a favorite?" "Hello, mussels, I appreciate that you have a wide range of viewpoints that you express without disparaging each other's perspective." "And hello, little blue fish. You don't need one of my scales to be special. You're a desert pupfish. You can thrive in water up to 113 degrees. That's some superhero stuff. You are awesome." The most amazing thing began to happen. When the other creatures of the sea spoke of rainbow fish, his dazzling scales were not the first thing they mentioned. It was his kindness and positivity, and how wonderful it was to spend time with him. It didn't take long for others to follow his example. The shady starfish even got over herself and joined in the fun. The octopus came by every now and then, but he was really committed to doing his own thing. Some creatures are just naturally introverted, and that's totally fine as long as they feel comfortable reaching out when they need to. At long last, rainbow fish was part of a community where everyone felt appreciated and acknowledged or the things that made them unique. And that's something far more beautiful than glittering scales. The end. Earlier, we heard from our new office manager, Alexi Besser-Gilbert, about his journey of embracing his true gender identity and self. He is a stained glass rainbow fish that has kept his scales, and he shares the insight that, for him, label and identity nuances have always been difficult. Terms have come and gone in the queer community. Words that were just words once are now teeming with such hate that you wouldn't dare say them in casual conversation. And there are new terms and understanding of old terms every day, it seems. In the 1980s and 90s, the word welcoming became a code word for lesbian, gay, and bisexual people. The Unitarian Universalist Association launched the Welcoming Congregation program to learn us how to undo homophobia, and later transphobia, prejudice against transgender people, in our hearts and our minds and congregations and our communities. Beacon completed that program some years ago, but it is time for us to renew our status as a welcoming congregation with new understandings in the offing. I am putting out the bold challenge to you to join me in deeper self-interrogation and inquiry. New learning and genuine engagement with LGBTQIA folks we currently know or those we are yet to meet. People like Alexi, Gabriel before him, and the other rainbow fish who strive to wear their shimmering and unique scales proudly and safely. We might decide to read and discuss the UUA report entitled Widening the Circle of Concern that primarily focuses on the work of racial justice and dismantling white supremacy culture, another area of growth, yet imparts wisdom applicable to all areas of inclusion. For example, the takeaway is that unconscious bias is real, and when unaddressed creates toxic organizations that can, in turn, be toxic to LGBTQIA folks and people of color. Without blame or shame, I would reckon that we likely have some implicit programming based on whiteness, even if it is not evident in our behavior or even if our conscious thoughts. I'd argue that if we are cisgender and or heterosexual, the same implicit programming is there, even if it is dormant. Addressing unconscious bias requires education, not guilt, and many good tools are available, such as the offering of Transforming Hearts Collective that were lifted up by trans educator Alex Capitan when he led his service, A Radical Welcome, on our YouTube channel on August 16, 2020. You can find that recording there. For instance, in January 2018, he led a program called Creating Radical Culture Shift at one of our congregations in Wisconsin. Here's how the program was described. In our faith community, being a welcoming congregation is more than being about friendly. It means actively working to dismantle the forces in our world that teach us that some people are better, normal, more valuable, and other people are lesser than other outsiders. What would it take to create a culture here at our church in which no one, of any gender, sexuality, race, class, ability, or age, is other or doesn't belong? Come explore and practice this together and find out what's required of us in order to embody radical welcome. I've been watching the new Netflix series, Sweet Tooth. Well, I binged it actually. It is that compelling. And I don't think it was a coincidence that the series was released during Pride Month. In the saga, the world has experienced the great crumble after pandemic. Sound familiar? As the pandemic erupts and builds, hybrid children, part animal, part human, begin to be born into a bewildered and panicked society. In the aftermath, a post-apocalyptic world, these non-binary children disrupt the status quo and are blamed, hunted, and exploited for their difference. The series definitely shines a light on how we deal or not with otherness that challenges what we consider conventional, and how non-binary individuals are targeted and threatened, and sadly beaten and killed. We still have a long way to go, or swim, to continue our metaphor. Even as major corporations underwrite pride events and urban bridges are aglow with rainbow neon this month, and an openly gay man and an openly transgender woman serves at the highest levels of our nation's government, laws to restrict the rights of LGBTQIA citizens are on the rise, and our need to be strong, straight allies is more pressing than ever. No one should be expected to sacrifice the shimmering scales to be safe and affirmed for their inherent worth and dignity. Like the recast rainbow fish who keeps what makes them special and unique while learning about humility and community without diminishing himself for the comfort of others, we can stand with the fabulous catfish who tells us, there is room enough in the sea for each of us to be amazing in our own way. May we live the spirit of pride, answer the call of love, and make room here at Beacon and at UUCC, this ever-growing and ever-learning, spiritually opening, and radically inclusive community we strive to be. Shimmer on, blessed be, and amen.